Welcome to another episode of the Go Intelligence Sports Podcast Show. Today we're going to be discussing the Saints, the playoffs, the adversity that the Saints went through this season, um, how the Rams dropped the game that pretty much stopped the Saints from getting into the playoffs. We're going to discuss it all. First thing I think I need you to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time seeing me. I bring you everything New Orleans Saints. With the season being over, we're going to go into the off season and talk about who we think the Saints should be drafting or signing or re-signing, or who they should just outright let go. So let's get right into it. Saints yesterday had to win their game, and the 49ers had to lose against the Rams for the Saints to advance to the playoffs. So the Saints are not in control of their own destiny. You can argue they're to blame. You can argue circumstances. But throughout the year, the Saints has faced all types of adversity. I am not the biggest excuse maker in the business, so ultimately all of it's going to fall on the Saints when you're talking to me. But I understand that some fans are emotional about the Saints, and they look elsewhere to place their blame because their Saints can do no wrong, right? That's not how it works in life. But so let's start from the beginning. The Saints coming into the season were misplaced due to Hurricane Ida, right? They had to practice for the first month in Dallas, play games that should have been a home game, had to be an away game. The first one, the Green Bay Packers. We come against Saints played the Green Bay Packers week 1. They were in the NFC Championship game last season. They were the number 1 overall seed in the playoffs last season. And this year, they're coming into the season as the Super Bowl hopeful. And the Saints being misplaced, playing a home game in Jacksonville, beat the brakes off the Packers. Let's start right there. So this is all with a new quarterback, Jameis Winston, a new offensive philosophy that we didn't know Sean Payton had, which is let's just get around 150 yards passing and we should be good, right? Jameis, I'm going to micromanage you a little bit. And all things considered, they still went out there and beat the crap out of the Packers, who, by the way, fast forward to the end of the season, is the number 1 seed again. Who, by the way, Aaron Rodgers is playing at an NFL MVP level again this season. All things considered, the Saints beat them week 1. The Saints faced adversity with injuries. Jameis Winston is lost for the season due to a torn ACL. Michael Thomas has not suited up at all the entire season at wide receiver. Best wide receiver on the Saints team, not playing the whole season. Bookend tackles Teron Armstead, Ryan Ramczyk missed significant time this year due to injuries. Offensive line banged up. Eric McCoy missing significant time due to injuries. Patrick Robinson retires before the season. We got Ken Crawley, who in the preseason is beating out everybody except that's not named Marshawn Lattimore at cornerback. He gets injured. We make a trade for Bradley Roby. Coaches, second game of the season against the Panthers, out with COVID. The team catches a COVID outbreak late December. Taysom Hill can't play quarterback for the Saints on a Monday Night Football game. Very important game, Monday Night Football game against the Miami Dolphins. He's out with COVID. Adam Troutman is the best we have at tight end, but he can't catch to save his soul. But he's a good blocker. He misses time due to injuries. All things considered, the Saints should beat who they're supposed to beat. Jameis Winston played in the New York Giants game. The very first home game of the season for the Saints. The Saints are coming into that game at 3-1. I want to say 3-1. Could be mistaken, but I believe it's 3-1. I believe the only game they had lost at that point was to the Panthers. The Giants are winless. I believe they're 0-4 at that particular point in the season. The Giants come to New Orleans and beat the Saints after being down by 11 points in the fourth quarter. All things considered, this is before Jameis gets injured. This is before the bookend tackles are not available. This is before the COVID outbreak for the players. Coaches are back at this time that had their COVID outbreak. And the Saints lose after being up 11 points. And fast forward that to the end of the season, the Saints do not control their destiny. They have to depend on another team to win for them to get in. The Saints go on the road. Their kicker misses 2 field goals against the Tennessee Titans. The Saints lose. The Saints lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, albeit a close game until about the third quarter. Offense couldn't score. Defense couldn't stop the Eagles. Saints dropped that game. Saints dropped the game against the Falcons. The Falcons are trash. You understand me? I'm talking about the Atlanta Falcons, who in my opinion should probably be thrown out of the NFL for how trash they are. Saints dropped that game. Fast forward that to the end of the season, we do not control our own destiny. So the last thing I want to hear from Saints fans all over my timeline on Facebook, all in the comments when I post, is that I'm a Saints hater. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't have any sports knowledge or whatever. Like, that takes away anything from the Saints not being able to handle their own business and win their games to control their own destiny. That's what it all boils down to. The Saints did not take care of their own business. Every team in the NFL dealt with COVID this year. I don't want to hear any excuses about COVID. Every single team dealt with COVID outbreaks this season. So much so that the NFL went out and changed their own protocols in the middle of the season. I have it right here. Let's bring it up. December 16th, the NFL and the Players Association of the NFL negotiated changes to the league's COVID-19 protocols, some of which are being put in place immediately and could help teams whose rosters have been decimated this week. They didn't say help the Saints. It said help teams, because the NFL seen that this was going to be a problem coming to playoffs, and they do not want, let's say, Tom Brady, because Aaron Rodgers has already tested positive for COVID this year, and he didn't have to test for another 90 days until after the Super Bowl. So he's clear. But they don't want star players missing any playoff games due to their strenuous NFL COVID protocols. So they changed it. Effective immediately, players who have tested positive for COVID, instead of needing 2 tests to test back into the to be able to be eligible to play, they only needed 1 test. And even if that test came back as positive, they're going to check their, what is it called? cycle threshold. A cycle threshold measures just how contagious you are. So if you have a cycle threshold value of 35 or greater, you're considered by the NFL or the doctors in the NFL to not be contagious to where you will affect other players, even though your test may come back as positive for COVID-19. That's the NFL addressing the situation that all teams are dealing with COVID, and we don't want anybody to miss playoff time because they changed this December 16th. Then the CDC releases a memo that the vaccinated quarantine, well, not vaccinated, I'm sorry, but the quarantine time is being cut from 10 days to 5 days. And you know what the NFL did? Immediately, 12 days later, after this December 16th release, December 28th, the NFL adopts the CDC rule that all players now only have to vaccinate for 5 days because they have playoffs coming up and they don't want Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, people that may have not tested positive for COVID to miss any playoff games because that fucks with the money. And one thing you do not do is fuck with the church's money. You don't do it. And they are not idiots. So I don't want to hear about nothing about the Saints with COVID. Don't want to hear it because every NFL team has dealt with it. What I do want to talk about with the Saints is the defense. The Saints defense is a championship defense, bar none. I'm kind of upset that, they had this to play with, offensively, being that they pretty much wasted the talent this year on defense. And that's crazy to say because for years and years, all you heard was, man, if the Saints could get a defense to go with Drew Brees, good Lord. And now they got it, but Drew and retired. Drew out of there. Drew said, man, I can't throw that thing more than 25 yards no more, man. Y'all know, go get one of them young cats out here. Drew gone. What we need to be discussing with the Saints is the defense, and we need to keep DA. I ain't talking about the district attorney. I'm talking about Dennis Allen, because he is going to be on somebody's long list of coaches. Because today is Monday, and we've already seen Brian Flores fired, Mike Zimmer fired, Matt Nagy fired. We've already seen coaches fired. I mean, Urban Meyer fired, and that was back in early December. So DA is going to be on somebody. Vic Fangio, another coach, fired. He's going to be on somebody's list for job interviews. The Saints need to do everything in their power to convince him that may not want them jobs, But you can't stop a man from advancing his career. Even though DA has already left the Saints, he went out there to Oakland and it didn't last long. He got fired from that gig, but somebody may be willing to give him another chance. Who I'm not willing to give another chance, it's a nice segue, is Cesar Ruiz. I'm sick and tired of seeing Cesar Ruiz look like a turnstile. I really believe that should be his official position name, offensive turnstile, because he gets beat every week, man. I'm sick of it, man. I'm tired. I don't give a damn if he played whatever in college and switched to guard in the NFL. At some point in time, man, you got to just bite down on the fucking mouthpiece and say, I'm not going to be beat. Everybody on the offensive line is holding their own, and this motherfucker getting beat. He the first round draft pick. I'm done. I'm over Cesar Ruiz. Whatever the Saints can get for him, hey man, go get for him. I don't give a damn if it's a shrimp po' boy with a big shot pineapple drink. Get whatever you can get for him. Get rid of him. Please do not make the same mistake you made with Andres Pete. with Cesar Ruiz. Get rid of him. Taysom Hill announced today. Taysom Hill needs surgery on his foot. He has a Lisfranc injury that pretty much came out yesterday. They Lisfranc, but today they announced that they're going to perform surgery on it, which, in my opinion, is another reason why the Saints just take the break that we get from not being in the playoffs. Because whoever thinks that Trevor Siemian was going to deliver any type of playoff win, joy, or what for the Saints is absolutely delusional. Teams of the NFL do not go to the playoffs just to say they win. They don't do that. I understand from a player's perspective, you may want to go to the playoffs because that's extra money. And there's bonuses tied to that. I get that. But from a fan's perspective of what you would want to see from your team, you don't go to the playoffs to just say you went and get embarrassed. You don't do that. You don't do that. Who does? Who? I don't want to see the Saints on TV getting blown out by somebody with Trevor Siemian at quarterback. I have better things to do with my time. The San Francisco 49ers, by far, are a better team than the New Orleans Saints right now. All things considered. I'm talking about defense as well as offensively put together. Yeah, the Saints' defense is great, but their offense is going to get you no more than 10, 14 points. The defense can only remain as strong as they can for the game. I mean, we've seen it. This season, we've seen that. The defense go out there and put forth a great effort, but the offense can't do a goddamn thing. I don't want to see that in the playoffs. I don't want to see that in the playoffs. So for all of y'all who want to be upset with me for telling you the truth, or at least my truth, or what I want to see from the Saints, I would like to see the Saints stay home, get healthy, address the wide receiver position in the draft, keep the defense, and let that be it. But man, all that, yeah, Saints go to the playoffs, and y'all thinking that they actually got a chance to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, you're absolutely crazy. And I would probably recommend that you more than likely be, measured for a straitjacket. But that's just my opinion, So, with that being said, the Saints this season can hold their head high. With all things considered, from all the adversity, from the hurricane to the injuries to the COVID outbreaks and whatnot, the season is not a disappointment. So don't get it twisted. All right? It's not a disappointment. Every team in the NFL starts this season out with Super Bowl aspirations. Every team. I don't give a damn how terrible you may have been before. The Jacksonville Jaguars came into this season thinking they had a shot at the Super Bowl. That's just what they do. Now, is it realistic? Hell no, because now they back at the #1 draft pick. But come this upcoming season, they will think they have a shot to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. It just is what it is. So, to my Saints fans, don't be upset at me. Be upset at yourself for being emotionally involved with the Saints. Don't be too emotional. I used to be that way. The Saints lose, my whole damn week was terrible until they played on Sunday again. They lose again, that's a double whammy. Two horrible weeks. I don't do that anymore. They lose, they lose. They win, they win. Even much so when they win, I'm still not happy because I think they probably should have won by more. You need to adopt a different philosophy for watching the NFL Saints. But that's just my opinion. I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. Like I said earlier, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Our season is over, but the NFL season isn't over. Tell me who you think is going to be who's going to come out in the playoffs? Who you think is going to represent the AFC and NFC in the Super Bowl? Who you think is going to win it all? Just let me know down in the comments, and I appreciate your time today. Could have been anywhere else in the world, but you shared it with me. I appreciate that. Until next time, this is Goon signing out. Peace.